Hello, hi, namaste, and good evening, everyone. We're really excited to have a conversation with a whole host of eminent artists who are all gearing up to arrive in Chennai. That's right, arrive in Chennai to present Tamrapatra live at the Kalakshetra Foundation. And we're going to be talking first to Ananda Shankar Jayant, really the brain behind this idea that really found its genesis in the year of the pandemic, in the years of the pandemic, and really unfolded as a year-long online virtual series, but is now taking on new avatar. So I'm just going to, without much ado, bring Ananda ji on the intent with Tamrapatra live as it unfolds the day after tomorrow, September 11th at the Kalakshetra. Anandaji, I just sent you an invitation to join. Hi.
Uh, welcome.
Hi,
Thank you, Akila. Hi. Thanks for having this conversation with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course. Pleasure's entirely mine. So, Anandaji, without much ado, I'm going to dive straight in and ask you a little bit about the form that Tamrapatra as a series has taken, what it was and what it's unfolding now. I know that it premiered last week in Hyderabad and it's gearing up for its Chennai premiere. Tell me a bit about what was the genesis of the idea to sort of, oh, someone says no audio. You can hear me, right, Anandaji?
There's a double audio happening. Something is happening.
Is it? Oh.
Wait, let me. I think it's kind of your voice is repeating. One sec. I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Huh.
Is it better now?
Like I'm hearing your voice from somewhere. I think.
Should I just log out?
Should I go out and come back? That will help.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to bring Ananda ji back again. Want to invite her to join this conversation. I wonder what's going on. Yeah, thanks, Deepika. Looking forward to chatting with you as well. Oh, declined? Okay. Just give me a moment. Anandaji, I sent you an invitation again. Okay, let me accept your invitation. Yeah. Okay. We're having some technical trouble, but I think it should be fine. I'm just going to wait for her to send me a request. And yes, that's right. I go live. That's right. Thank you all for joining. I hope.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, all right. Thanks. So I was just asking you a little bit about Tamrapatra as it was and the form and shape it's taken now, and it's called Tamrapatra Live. Just tell us a bit about what was the genesis of that idea, and I mean, let's start with that, and then I'll kind of segue into my next question.
Yes. So the background to the whole Tamrapatra series. I mean, if you've known my work, I've always been doing a whole lot of productions which are one Kara centric, like Tyagaraja Ramayanam or Mohana Krishna Beckons with Uttukadu, and so on and so forth. So Annamacharya was always in my mind, but I never got to it until almost 2010 and 11, when Satyaraju Venumadhav, my musician, he composed, who's no more, he passed away in 2019. Right. So he composed 108 as of then uncomposed Annamacharya Sankeerthanas. For many of you who know about Annamacharya, we know the background. He was born in 1408. He composed 32,000 songs, of which we found only, say, 12,000 in the Annamaya Bandaram in Tirumala in 1922. Copper plates were found, and they were all annotated. Okay. So, so all these 12,000 songs have been transcribed into 29 volumes. of Annamaya Pada Sankirtanam of Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam available to all of us. Now, because they're annotated and they probably just have the ragam mentioned on the Tamrapatras, many renowned musicians like Nirnur Krishnamurti ji, Nokulachana Satyanarayana garu, Balamurli Krishna garu, Srirangam Gopal Ratnam garu, Garimalla Balakrishna Prasad garu, and many more set these Annamacharya Sankeerthanas to music as we know it today, as we sing it today. So, bringing the story forward, in 2010, Venu Madhav decided to compose 108 of then uncomposed Annamacharya Sankeerthanas. Now look at the numbers. We are looking at almost 12,000, 13,000 plus Sankeerthanas, of which about 1,600 to 2,000 were composed by these maestros. So there's still a lot more to be composed. So he composed 108 and 108 ragams.
Wow.
So this, really inspired me. And I did two productions, solo productions. One was called Talapatra and one was called Shringara Darpanam. Now, in the pandemic, so slowly all these 108 songs were part of my listening process, understanding, because he released a book and a CD by a local cultural organization called Sujana Ranjani. So during the pandemic, 21 July to 22 June, so at Natyaramba, at our platform, we decided that we needed to, keep everyone occupied. We were doing a whole lot of other things, just like Aalaap was doing alongside, and you were doing in Chennai, we were doing in Hyderabad. So what we did is, we decided that, we'll do a learning process, a learning process where I bring these, we said 12, I have 108, and they're all, available, sung by him. So I said, let's bring these Sankirtanas, some 12 Sankirtanas, one to be taught every month on a second Saturday and Sunday. And I said, instead of just, maybe a couple of us dancers doing it, I said, let's invite one for each Annamacharya Sankirtana. So we had 12 gurus come and teach it online. And it really, caught the imagination, because we had full houses every month across not just across the country, overseas. Now, this finished in July 22 and June 22, and many dancers, senior dancers, have started performing it and made it part of their repertoire. So what our intention was to add content, to add interesting content that has already had some musical, composition available. And as a dancer, I said, please use the same music, but feel free to add a swaram here or a jati there, or, you want to add a ragam here, things like that. We left it to the dancer, which is what we all do with all our compositions. And so during this whole 12-month process, I had not just the dancer, but more importantly, we had Dr. Anupama Kylash, who was our go-to research person. She's a dance scholar, as you know, and her PhD is on Annamacharya. The Jivanayikas of Annamacharya. So she used to give this whole 40-minute introduction, not just to the song itself, or to the literal or inner meaning, or the padartha vakyartha abhinaya, but she went many layers beyond connecting other texts, and I'm sure you'll be talking to her after this. So this now has moved. I said, now that we've composed it, let's try and do a kind of an evening of Annamacharya Sankeerthanas. So we did it earlier in 22, we did it in NCPA on their invitation. And there we had 6 dancers, and in Hyderabad we had 5. Now in Chennai we have 7. So whoever is available, depending on time, and so we have 7 dancers bringing 7 Annamacharya Sankeerthanas, all composed by Satyaraj Venu Madhav, but presented in their individual style, with their individual musicians singing it, and of course across dance styles of Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Mohiniyattam, and Odissi. So that's Tamrapatra live in Chennai.
Fantastic. So I'm thinking the word that's coming to my head, Ananda, is this whole idea of an anthology, where there's like a central sort of theme, and there are like these different episodes that we're going to see by like each dancer is going to like share their take on this. So I want to ask you a little bit about what you are going to present, and so have you picked, an Annamacharya Kriti, which is something that you worked on during the pandemic, or have you sort of looked at some other verse, or what you're doing in Hyderabad is different from what you're presenting in Chennai? Just tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so but before I go into just mine, I'd just like to lay a little context, if I may. So what we are doing is 7 different Annamacharya Sankeerthanas, but the stories, they're all individually, standalone pieces, right? And there is essentially expression, essentially abhinaya. Now, so we have a Krishna theme where Krishna is looking at we start with that theme. Krishna, as a senior statesman, Krishna sitting in Dwaraka, thinking and recollecting about Radha, whom he left behind many, many decades ago. So that's his angst. So then we start with that. Then we counter it with a very interesting Sanskrit Sankirtana by Gopika Verma. The first one is by Vaibhava Harikar. The second is by Gopika Verma, and she looks at again Radha's yearning. So these are again, though they are 2 separate songs, we strung it in such a way that it looks like it's connected.
Oh, okay.
And then we move to, of course, Annamacharya. Of course, Annamacharya is all about Venkateshwara Swami and the goddess Alamelamanga. So we move to this segment. And then we bring 5 stories which are connected to the Annamacharya, place. I mean, the Venkateshwara Swami stories. And we have Deepika Reddy from the Kuchipudi style, sharing a very interesting, and I'm sure you'll speak to her, very interesting Annamacharya Sankeerthana, which says there is no difference. I mean, both the goddess and the Lord are so perfectly matched. So this is a very, very beautiful Sankirtana, and it's got the ragam in Bihag and the lachak, as we say, of Kuchipudi. So that is what we do in the 3rd piece. The 4th piece is a very, very, very profound yearning of the goddess herself, Alamelamanga, and she says, why don't you come? So it's a yearning part, and I'm sure you'll speak to Anupama on that. And then then of course she sends a Sakhi. So what we're doing is, as you see, we are connecting it like a storyline through my voiceover that comes on the track. And then we have, after Anupama, we have Satyanarayana Raju, who becomes a Sakhi, to go to Venkateshwara.
Right.
And then when I come 6th. So Venkateshwara Swami is coming to meet Alamelamanga. So the story that I present is actually something that I had composed earlier, but I had taught it at the Natya Ramba online series. So I'm presenting the same piece. It's called Kalamularunu, in which Annamacharya has a tongue-in-cheek, playful way of telling Venkateshwara, hey, Venkateshwara, for you, every season begins and ends with her. I mean, the flowers fall from her hair, so it becomes Vasanta for you, and she looks at you with passion. So for you feel Grishma, and there's a little sweat drop that falls on you from her, and for you it's Varsha, and it goes on like this. So it's got the whole Shringara concept going. It's got the seasons happening, and underlying is a very, very playful Annamacharya who's probably doing this to his friend, hey, kind of thing. So that's a very what shall I say? I would call it a very playful and a interesting piece which has many layers. So that's my piece, and then we finish with a very philosophical piece, which is again, though it's an Odyssey, it is done to Carnatic music. It is done to and it's done to Kedaragalam. And the song, it is by Sharmila Biswas, and the song is it moves from this level. See, we have reached so if you realize the story is moved from Annamacharya and Venkateshwara and Alamelamanga being compared, and then the yearning, and then the Sakhi, and then the meeting, all this is over, and then we shift gears and we go to the philosophical level where he says, you are the divine puppeteer. So it ends on that note. So this is the flow of the evening.
Right. Okay, that sounds great, Anandaji. So basically what I'm hearing is the even though they're different, sort of, it's all been woven together and it becomes one production per se. So there's a storyline that is sort of connecting this entire thing together. Fantastic. At this point, I'm going to bring in Anupama Kylash as well. And I'd like for you to stay on, because if there are any questions that you could respond to as well, it would be great. Anupama, I'm so grateful that just when I'm bringing you in the electricity, I don't know, Anandaji, if you realize I lost electricity for a little bit and I went into darkness. But fortunately, the power is back. Yeah. Just give me a moment. Hi, Anupama.
Hi, Akhila. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Akka.
Hi, Anupama.
Okay.
Lovely to see you.
Thanks, Anupama, for agreeing to do this Instagram Live on a Monday evening. I'm going to ask you straight off, really, about, like everybody knows how, your entire research is on Annamacharya. Everybody's aware of your, the work that you've done in that space. But I just want to understand from you, what was your discovery through that year-long Tamrapatra series? Where week on week, you had to sort of read, research, deliver a lecture. Just want to understand what were some of your key learnings and takeaways from that experience.
It's actually a difficult question because there's no one
Of
takeaway.
course.
There were so many takeaways because I've been looking. See, when I was researching Annamacharya, I was primarily focusing on the Nayikas of Annamacharya and how he handles the women characters, the women protagonists, and all of this. But Tamrapatra, it had such varied content, and there were so many multiple layers to the idea of Shringara itself that wasn't enough for me to look at just poetics or Alankara Shastra. I had to look at multiple cross references of poets across, the board of Pada Sahityam. Poets who preceded Annamacharya, poets who succeeded Annamacharya, and how did the whole thing happen? So it was a very reinforced learning actually all over again. I learned about the Sringar Sankirthanas of Annamacharya. And the second learning was when you translate text to performance, when you translate, idea to performance, how many ways you can do it, and how many multiple thought processes, how differently people think, how similarly people think, and artists, because the caliber of artists we had for Tamrapatra, every single one was a learning for me, because how each style kind of interprets the same thing, how each body interprets the same thing, how each mind interprets the same thing. That was a huge learning for me because I remember still, when I had initially asked Devika to do one of the kirtanas, she had said, I don't do so much Ringara, this is all so explicit, how do I do this? And then she did such a wonderful layered interpretation. I don't know, I mean, each one, what a take they had on, their own thing. So it was not just a learning, it was literally like a eureka thing for me. And also great. It was, a dream come true. I've always dreamt of Annamacharya being done across multiple styles.
Right.
And, that kind of realized with Tamrapatra. So that was beautiful.
Right. So, Anupama, what I'm hearing is also the greatness of the Vagayakara for the potential and possibilities in dance, right? Can you talk a little bit about in terms of Natyam, how has this poetry sort of lent itself to this? And I'd like Anandaji also to respond to that. How has this poetry really lent itself to like so many moods, emotions, and possibility of evoking it in the context of dance?
Yes. So for me, I always say Annamacharya's literature is like cinematography. It's like a screenplay. Because number one, it is extremely wordy. He uses very rich phrases. He uses a lot of words. There are very few Annamacharya songs which don't have a lot of words in it. And Pallavi of any Annamacharya composition tells you the entire story. So that is like the story there. Now, after that, he keeps filling in imageries, motifs, analogies, paradoxes all through. So what happens is the dancer has to find a space within all the things that are already happening in the literature. So it is very difficult because it is not simple like a Kshetraya Padam or the language. I'm not saying Kshetraya Padams are simple. I'm saying the way the language is arranged. There is still a lot that can be left to the imagination of the dancer. But Annamacharya doesn't leave much. So therefore, how do you do the subtext? How do you pick that which he's not saying amongst all that he's saying? And how do you focus on that? And it's a huge challenge for dancers. See, I can totally understand why Annamacharya has not come into the mainstream as a, solid Abhinaya, go-to.
Yeah.
First of all, the Telugu is very difficult to understand because it's not the normal Telugu that, we hear in the other padams. And it is so intricate. There are layers and layers like an onion. You can keep peeling layer after layer after layer. Still be something more. So, this was a great challenge. All the artists felt that, but then, at the end, when you actually get the layers and the subtext, there is so much that the artist can, once again do to the
Right.
piece. So, my
Right.
take on it.
Fantastic. Anandaji, would you like to respond as well?
So actually, yes, I would just add to what Anupama said. Yes, Annamacharya's, it's a big challenge because Telugu has, you need to go into the text, you need to understand many layers of the text. Nevertheless, it is also for a dancer, much of it, the cinematography, Ashika, the scenography is almost laid out. So your sanchari bhavas and all are, you don't need to go too far. It's almost laid out, especially in the metaphors and in the similes and in the all those things are laid out already. However, there are enough places where you can push your imagination, push the bar, and because it's so picturesque. Because the poetry is so picturesque and the poetry lends itself to music so beautifully, and it's been composed in such a sensitive and a very very beautifully, I think he was thoroughly inspired, blessed, I would say. Some of those ragams he has used, Venu has used, is outstanding. For example, this song that Anupama will do is in Pattadeep, and it's so exquisite. I can't tell. So that also happens. So the music is also adding on to the text, and I think what we have tried to do, Akila, is to add, to push as much of this content to grow the content of dance. Whether it's Annamacharya Sankeerthana or anyone, all we are trying to do is add content, add more repertoire possibilities. And if you have more Vagekaras and more poets coming, we are able to bring all this out. We are the richer for it because our minds also get expanded with the poetry.
Absolutely.
As
Just one
dancers,
last question.
you can, there's so much you can take away from here and maybe use in some other space, which is, and I think I'm very happy doing Annamacharya, really.
Fantastic. Just one last question, Anupama, before we let you go, is really about the quality of musicality to Annamacharya's poetry. If you can just respond to that, then we'll bring Deepika on board.
Absolutely. So, I think in the context of Annamacharya, because there is no notation and only the ragas are given, and even talam is not given, talam is only given for the Sanskrit compositions. So there has been an angst generally for me that, the musicality of Annamacharya didn't receive the kind of rich treatment it should receive, considering the quality of the lyric. But with these compositions that Venu has composed, that angst is completely settled. I totally second Anandaka when she said the sensitivity with which he has handled each composition. Because as Anandaka was talking about the composition that I'm doing in Pattadeep, the way it is a very, very difficult composition lyrically. Because it has very complex phrases and phrases which cannot be understood by even a normal Telugu person.
Yeah.
The way he has molded the music, the flow of the music absolutely gives you that, the energy to create those pathways within that intricacy of the lyric. And it is such a lyrically, musically beautiful and melodious song that, when I composed it for the Tamrapatra workshop, I couldn't stop I did 24 minutes of composition for that, song, which has 3 charanams and 1 pandi. But, it has that kind of scope. He has chosen rather to have the scope for you to explore the lyrical quality and the melodic, the melodic line gives you the full ability to be able to explore the, the lyrical part of it. So that is the beauty of these compositions.
Fantastic. So really a rich visual canvas, so to speak. And I also like the point that Anandaji made that there is already like a framework in some sense. The metaphors and the similes are so striking that the possibilities to like, sort of really build upon those are just enormous. Thank you, Anupama, for sharing your insights. If there's anything else that you'd like to add, sorry, I think you were going to say something.
I'll just say one word, one line. In fact, while on one level the Telugu is very difficult, on another level the Telugu is very close to you. For a Telugu speaking person, for example, Vaibhav's song is Talachina Hridayamu Jhallumani. So the Jhallu is a very Telugu word which goes I thought of her and I went or my heart skipped a beat. I mean, English doesn't do any good to Jhallu. Okay?
Right.
What I want to say, it is complex Telugu, it's beautiful Telugu, but it is also the pronunciations and all that a musician like Venu Madhav has affected. It is very important for Agyakara literature that you understand the lyric to the extent that the pronunciation and the intonation and the modulation, because you lose quality of the music if the modulation is not perfect. So, you can take a beautiful piece and absolutely ruin it simply by having the wrong modulation of the piece. And that is what Venu has, beautifully done. And I think that modulation automatically gives you the response that, the music. So, yeah, I think everyone else will add a lot to this whole things.
Thank you so much, Anupama. Thank you for sharing your insights. You can just exit, Anupama, and I'm going to invite Deepika Reddy onto this conversation. I think Deepika is already here. Thank you so much, Anupama. So, I think Deepika should be joining. Hello, namaste.
Hi, Akila. Hi, Ananda.
Hi, how are
Deepika. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful listening to the three of you.
Thank you, Deepika ji. I just thought that, since we're on the subject of language, let me start by asking you really, by virtue of speaking the language, Anupama talked about how, the Telugu is very, very, complex, not the kind of Telugu that we need. But Anandaji also talked about how there are some words which are so essentially, intrinsically Telugu in a way that only a Telugu speaking person who knows that language can sort of, just have that aha moment. Tell us a bit about your relationship with Annamacharya Kritis itself, and then we'll get into what you're going to be performing.
Venkateshwara is my Ishtadaivam. So when Ananda invited me, I jumped and said, I'm in, I'm doing it. And Talapaka, where Annamacharya comes from, is a few minutes from my grandfather's home.
Okay.
So every time I pass by the village, I've been reading so much about Annamacharya, and it's a different feel. And every Annamacharya Kirtana I've learned from my guru, Vempati Garu also. Those are my favorites. And so I love doing it because the language, as you said, and Ananda has said, I understand it because that part of, in that Rayalaseema area, they speak some of these words that Annamacharya uses in his lyrics. So it's in his poetry, and it comes easily. We understand it easily, and I think as a Kuchipudi dancer, it's very easy because it's all about dance drama traditions that I've come from. So you can do asancharis. There's so much of scope for choreography, and I just love doing Annamacharya kritis.
Fantastic.
And whether it's different messages also that 14th century Annamacharya is giving, telling us about whether it's Ekkuva Takkuva, the one I'm doing, which and he's so partial, I feel, to in such a patriarchal system. I feel he's a little partial to Alamelu Manga, and I always thank Ananda for that. And I say, Ananda, this piece is something I really love, and because. Behag is another ragam I really like, and because all the time I sing Narayanate Namo Namo Annamacharya, so this is that one of those ragams I like, and I'm just very happy to be doing this piece.
Lovely, lovely. Anandaji, I'm going to ask you a little question about the realm of Annamacharya's poetry. From Shringara to Bhakti to the spiritual, and Deepika ji
Adhyatmika.
mentioned about the philosophical, right? So tell us a bit about this range, and the production obviously also sort of traverses this range, right?
Yes. So basically, Annamacharya, traverses the evocative, the spiritual, the moral, and the philosophical, and of course the Shringara and aspect. So his Sankirtanas are called Shringara and Adhyatmika. So he has both of that, and her piece, Deepika's piece, essentially is Shringara, but is also having a layer of the, as she rightly pointed out, the dance drama tradition. So there's a lot of stories that not necessarily is about Venkateshwara, but about his previous avatars, and I'll leave it to her to speak about it, about how they are, how he compares the two in very interesting ways, but saying that, hey, Alamil Manga and Venkateshwara, you both are so perfectly matched. So that's the way. You're so perfect in every way. There's none other than like you. So here, what we're trying to do, as I said, is placing the songs in such a way that the audience goes back with not having seen just 7 pieces, which is what it really is, but stringing it together in a way that they go back with a storyline, with having almost seen a full story, though they're all 7 solos, 7 separate solos. So we've linked it up, and we begin with hers. The Alamel Manga segment begins with Deepika, where we explain, where the song says that, brings the character in, almost like a patra pravesham of the hero and the heroine.
Right. I'm
Deepika.
just going to invite Deepika ji to talk to us a little bit about her piece, and just
So
sort of.
I
Also,
love
if it's
the
possible,
metaphors
Deepika,
that
if you can.
he's used, Annamacharya has used, and it gave me a lot of scope and choreographies. For example, he said that you had to, become Vamana. You had to measure your the bhumi, the akasham, and then all that. But then her pidikidi nadumu, her slender waist, equals what you have done in that avatara, because she's so beautiful. That's how that metaphor he used. So there's so much of scope to show there. And then, yeah, the Vishwarupam you had to show when you did the avataram of Kurma avataram. And sorry, I'm saying,
Churn the
the
nectar.
Vishwarupam you
Churn the
showed for
nectar.
the Vamana
Vamana avatar.
avataram, but for this avataram, for the one you're showing, the Kurma avataram, and the Mohini, and the for and the Samudra Mantana and all that. But then what she has done, what Alamelu Manga has done, is she emanates nectar when she spills nectar all the time. You had to do so much to bring nectar, and but then that's something that gave me a lot of scope to show the dance drama tradition. So I could show a little of Mohini, I could show so many things in that also.
Right.
And then you wear the Kaustuva, is what the lyrics says, but then, and that keeps shining, but she doesn't need to wear anything. Her teeth are sparkling. So that, things like that. I said, my God, how did he think of all these metaphors? And then he comes, and there's a saying that the Lord goes every day in the night from the 7 hills. He comes down to Almelu Tiruchanur to spend the night with Ammavaru. So that's when he thinks of her. But she's thinking of him all the time in all her chores, is what, like how I presented it, like from the time she gets up and washes her face and anything she does, to even in her dreams, she's only thinking about him. So that's how,
It's a very sweetly romantic piece. At the same time, saying that, and it's actually a third party. Annamacharya comparing both of them and saying there's nothing, ekkuva takkuva. There's nothing, they're so perfectly matched. And in the storyline, all these things come out. So as you see, as we discussed earlier, Akila's and Anupama was also saying this. The layering you see, right? It's actually Annamacharya talking about them, but the song itself has layers, of them being equal, of their various characteristics, whether it's physical, whether it is emotional, whether it is their spirit, their inner feelings. All that is said in just little words. And also there is an interaction that's happening between the two, which the dancer is able to access. These are the three layers, and I'm sure Deepika has more, but these are the three layers that is readily available for access.
There's so much of scope to show Stringara. Then there's also, I could show a little of Nritta and, all these things also. I could show the Charis and the Bhaumicharis, Akashacharis. There's a lot of scope. So this item gave me and made me think and try to do something different to bring to the table because there's so many senior dancers in this program. So and then one more thing is Manodharma. I will not do what I did in Hyderabad because this item gives you just think on the spot. I can't just do what I did there. Like I'm sure Anupama and Ananda will agree because we just do the basic grammar framework, but then it has to come. That day what will come, I don't know because you get so engrossed in the piece.
Absolutely. Just one last question, Deepika ji, are you excited about performing in Chennai?
Of course.
What?
Kalakshetra?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And Rukmini Devi ji's Kalakshetra, what better could we ask for? Because
actually,
Akila,
this particular program,
students performing for them gives a different high. Because even in this workshop, all the young children and the questions they asked, it's the budding dancers. It's such a wonderful experience, and so we're really looking forward to coming to Chennai. And I learned in Chennai from Vempati Garu, so that's like my second
coming back home.
Yes, sure. Ananda ji, you were mentioning something.
Yes, I was just saying that this particular program has had so many senior people supporting us. Like we have Chitra Vishweshwaran ji, Chitra Akka's Chidambaram Academy, and her Samanvay Festival supporting supporting this festival, collaborating with us to present this festival. This Kalakshetra Foundation, the director Suresh has been really very supportive. So through this channel, I really want to thank them, and of course the Government of India, the Ministry of Culture, who has funded a part of this this possibility of bringing this, because this is all so very niche, right? Annamacharya is niche. Then we're running solos. It's all very expressive. So it always requires lots of fun, and of course Aalaap hand-holding us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananda ji. Thank you so much, Deepika ji, for
pleasure
whatever.
Talking to you, Akila. Great pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm now going to invite Satyanarayana Raju onto this conversation.
I think Deepika, you'll need to leave.
Yeah. Deepika ji, you just have to just
leaving.
press the cross. Yeah. I just invited the Satyanarayana ji, and then finally we will speak with Sharmila Biswas ji. As he okay, there he is. Hello.
Hello, beautiful ladies there.
How are
Satya.
you?
Good, how are you all?
We're doing good. Are you walking, running? Where are you?
I'm going to sit at one place now.
Please sit down. Kuchandi.
Yeah, kuchandi.
Okay. Great.
That's better.
So looking forward to watching you in Chennai, Satyaji.
Yeah, as a Saki, right?
Yeah. So tell us a bit about it.
First of all, I should thank Ananda Garu and Anupama ji for giving me this wonderful opportunity. It's really, when they said Saki, I was like, wow, this is really challenging for me. And and also it was a Telugu language, much easier for me. It was very, it was very easy for me, and I able to do something, whatever I know.
Right. Satyaji, what is your relationship with Annamacharya's poetry? Have you, performed it a lot? What is it about Annamacharya's poetry that resonates with you? Tell us a bit about it.
Annamacharya Sankeerthanas I have performed many times, all Devarnamas earlier. But this particular piece is very interesting as a Saki going and asking Venkateshwara to come and see Alamelu Manga is waiting for you. This was very challenging, and also I was in workshop. I was saying, what if Saki falls in love with Venkateshwara?
So this was the layer he added. You know,
Okay.
in the song, there is no, the Saki is not in love with him, but he added that layer. He's saying, what? Maybe the Saki is also wanting, you know, making eyes at the Lord.
Fine. And I also, in my workshop, I said already Sridevi, Bhudevi on his chest, both of them. And like their conversations also I showed through my eyes, like both of them looking at each other. What is another? One more Saki is here. Manavadu Vellapotada Antanto, like what our man will walk out from us. He's going to leave us a go as and walk out from here. They will have that conversation. That conversation actually, when I explained Ananda Garu and Anupama ji before, they really liked it, and then I added that, and also I got a good feedback from especially Brigaka and Anita Ratnam. Anita ji, she called me at 4:30 a.m. in the morning. Can you believe?
Wow.
After the workshop, and it's a very
Nice.
interesting piece that is, and also all the pieces, whatever we seven of us doing, it's extremely interesting, and every youngsters and also everybody should watch this performance, and each one of worked so hard and so much of lot of abhinaya and some humor is there in this kirtana. So people think if it is Annamacharya, they think it's only Devanama, Bhakti, and nothing like that. A lot of humor in it, a lot of sense in this kirtanas.
Right. Anandaji, I was thinking just now as we were speaking, was this whole idea of, this typically in a Bharatanatyam performance, you're like sort of meeting with different composers, and that sort of a
Yes,
thing. But in
yes.
this case, you're literally just immersing in the poetry of Annamacharya. I just want to understand both from an artist's perspective and the point of view of an audience member, what shifts when you're sort of deep diving and everybody's collectively and individually just there's just one thing that you're one kind of not one kind of poetry, but one poet whose
Yes.
poetry you're actually sort of immersing in. Just tell me a little bit about
I
it.
think what
That's
happens,
Satya's response.
I think what happens, Akila, as Anupama was also saying, and see, when you're looking at one poet, then the language also has a particular framework. The language also has a particular way of being laid out. And I think that the audience gets, whether they understand the language or not. I mean, we did it in Bombay and everyone loved it. And I don't think anyone understood any Telugu there. I mean, maybe except for a few
Yeah.
Telugu people. But the context, I think you just get it. I would call it this collective unconscious, like Jung called it, that we all get it. We may not understand the word-to-word meaning, but that's okay. So, and I think as dancers, anyway, we are interpreting it. So that should not be I don't see that as a barrier, but I see it as more of an, collective involvement, as you rightly said, that everyone is involved in the same process. Vis-a-vis, say, for example, say a Margam or even a dance production, where there are multiple, multiple poets that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Your poetry you're dealing with, and it sometimes what happens is you could look at it both ways, and I'm placing both, and I'm leaving it to you. One is you can look at it as, hey, I've had a very heavy poem, then I have a light-hearted one, then I have a different ragam, so that is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is one poetry is really inspiring and another poetry is banal. So it is up to the audience. Finally, I don't even think it's the poetry becomes the scaffolding. The poetry becomes a scaffolding, and here the scaffolding is it's a beautiful scaffolding. It's more than a scaffolding. It's almost a building. And here you are adding those extra nuances. And I think that works. For me, that works. I'm not saying that the other things don't work, but I quite like doing this, because then what happens, you're already in the mind space of the poet. I mean, to some extent. And that mind space is one enveloping space which really has worked for me, because, for example, my Tyagaraja Ramayana is all Tyagaraja. And it works. So I've been doing this all along, from 1986. Connecting one poem, one Vagekara, and then connecting it through either Sanskrit poetry or something else. And if you realize, in dance productions, especially those that are written, that got written by a present day poet, or for that matter, you pick up, say, a Kalidasa or a Valmiki, you're still, forming to one poet. It's not as though we're reinventing the wheel. It's already been done. Like Rukmini Datte's Sampurna Ramayana, the 6 Ramayana series, is all about is Valmiki. So I think we've always been doing it. It's just that in the solo space, we've had this multiple poets, which is also fine. I mean,
Nice.
each to
Okay.
their.
Yeah.
No value
Suddenly, I
judgments.
just,
The way Anupama Garu and Ananda Garu researched, I was thinking if Annamacharya comes down, he'll come search both of them. The way they've researched Annamacharya Kritis, Annamacharya himself will
more
come and sit
Anupama.
both of them, and he'll only ask help. Whatever I've written, you have saved me. Give it to me. Let me go through. How much they've worked
Oh,
and
so
how much
cute.
they've
Thank you, Satya.
నిజంగా అన్నమాచారు వస్తే మిమ్మల్ని వెతుక్కుంటూ వస్తారు ఇద్దరిని. నేను రాసినదంతా ఇవ్వండి అమ్మా, నాతో లేదు, గివ్ మీ కృతి, సమ్ ఆఫ్ ద కృతిస్ ఐ మిస్సింగ్, యూ మస్ట్ బి హ్యావింగ్, ప్లీజ్ గివ్ ఇట్. So like that they work
Oh
very
God,
well.
he's so funny.
I know. Satyaji, I just want to ask you one question before I let you go and bring Sharmila ji on board. Is really about, this is a solo sort of a performance, but you're also in some sense sharing, ideas, energies with a group of other artists. So, what has this experience been like for you to work with other eminent artists? But essentially, like Annamacharya has been the sort of the centrifugal force, so to speak.
I just took all the energy from all these artists. They are amazing, all of them. Each one of them, like they're great, all of them. When I went and performed in Bombay, it was in Zoom. We did workshop, and literally when I met all of them in Bombay after the COVID and all, I took so much energy from all of them, and I learned so much. In short, just one day we met and we performed. We met the previous day, next day we performed, and we left next day. But that one day, it was a great experience for me. I learned so much, and especially these two ladies, the beautiful ladies Ananda Garu and Anupama Garu. They are like Grantham. They have they're having all granthas with them. I can ask him. Like last time when she did workshop, I was telling Anupama Garu, I'm getting scared. I'm getting scared. I don't know what to talk. Please give me some tips. Please give me some explanation about. She said, Satya Garu, me just talk whatever comes to your mind. Don't read the book. Don't research. You please come out of your experience and you talk about this subject. And I thank you for that, Ananda Garu and Anupama, for that. Especially Saki, I chose. They've given me some other poem. I said, no, I'll choose Saki. Is very interesting. And it was great experience. I learned so much. Looking forward to Chennai, and you should bring all Chennai dancers to the Kalakshetra. And we had a very good audience in Bombay, and very good
Akila, he's
appreciation.
giving you a lot
I
of
did
work now.
lot of
This is
work.
like, I'm going to lose sleep tonight.
And yeah, and I miss
Oh,
Hyderabad due
Satya,
to
so
some
cute.
examination. Sorry, Ananda Garu.
No, that's
I
okay.
heard it went out
We'll
well.
meet in
And
Chennai tomorrow.
tomorrow, yeah, Chennai. Akila should get a lot of audience for us and give more publicity.
Thank
Like
you.
double
Thank you.
Thank
reintroduction.
you, Akila, and thank you,
Areham
Ananda
Thank you,
ji.
back and
Satyaji.
then sharing.
Okay. Now, thank you. I'm going to invite Sharmila ji. Thank you, Satyaji.
Thank you.
But what I'm taking back is also that Annamacharya has two BFFs, and they are Anupama Kylash and Ananda ji. So Satyaji, you can, yeah. Hello,
There you
namaste.
are. Hi,
Hello, hello.
Sharmila. Hi.
So good to be here.
Likewise, such a pleasure to meet you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Looking forward
Great.
to our Chennai show.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Sharmila ji, without much ado, let me directly dive into my question. And I want to ask you really about Odyssey and Annamacharya. Definitely something new, right? What has been your experience of sort of discovering Annamacharya through the language of Odyssey?
Actually, firstly,
when Ananda and Anupama, they had shared with me a few songs, a few works of Annamacharya. At once, I chose this one, the
Okay.
Divine Puppeteer. Ananda had given this title, beautiful title, because I always feel that our dance doesn't have enough humor and sarcasm. And through that, how a devotee expresses her devotion. So that this really something very important for me, more than the Telugu language. Of course, when see for us Telugu could be like, almost like Chinese because it's so different. But once I,
You should
the
say Italian.
form, huh? Yeah.
You should say Italian because Telugu is considered the Italian of the East. No, no, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Okay, but
No, I'm just joking.
the words in the beginning didn't mean anything to me. But when Anupama started explaining the words to me, the words and the artha, vag and artha, they had together so that each vag became very meaningful for me. That and with that, when I began to dance and compose with the rhythms, I didn't want to Odissify it by giving Mardala and all that. I wanted to have the richness of Telugu, Telugu music and the verses in an original form and how an Odissi body would react to it.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Yeah. Right. Sharmila ji, did this also get you to read and research more about Annamacharya? Like after this particular, piece, what is the kind of research that you put in to actually, without Odissifying it, but actually like yours is an Odissi body after all. So, what is the kind of work that you put in to actually, tell the story through the language of Odissi?
Actually, I'll tell you, I did not read more Annamacharya poetry at this point. Maybe I'll read later. But what I did was I immersed myself into, I say Kuchipudi, Telugu music. The very traditional ones. Somehow I felt I have to flow with the music. I have to understand the music, the accents. Ta, ting, te, ta, ta, tom, like that. That kind of thing. I felt I needed those kind of abstract, the musical ideas for me to immerse in Annamacharya.
Right.
So
Fantastic.
her song, if I may add, Akila, Sharmila's song is a very, very philosophical song, and she has treated it so the song also has, as she rightly said, layers of humor. Says this devotee asks Venkateshwara, "Oh my God, you have become a puppeteer, is it? You have become an actor, is it? We joined the group of actors, is it? For you, this is become a big game for you, is it?" So it's like it's like a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of ninda, a little bit of, but then the layering is very philosophical because on one level you are accepting that there is a higher force that is working on you. So these are all very interesting ideas, and what Sharmila has done is she has had DSV Shastri, who's a Kuchipudi musician, to sing this, and this is in Kedaragolam, very very Carnatic. And she's added, what I said, what I meant in the beginning. I said I gave the music, and the artist the freedom to of course not change the ragam, but add, maybe speed up, maybe reduce, maybe add a jati, maybe add a swara, that is what we all do with all our sankirtanas of any vagekara for that matter. So that is what she's done, and it is a very 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 evocative and a very, what shall I say, a very visually very visually image laden piece. layered with a whole lot of philosophy. And that's what she does so
And what
beautifully.
about
Yeah, but that's anyway her forte, right? That's anyway Sharmila ji's
Yes.
forte. Really, talk to us a bit about it, about your work itself, Sharmila ji, just for audiences to understand, what you're
yeah.
going to be presenting.
I first of all, in terms of, let's talk about, say, Ninda starts with this, that when there's a criticism like that, we are all praising you, and with our praises you are bloating more and more. Huh? Which actually means that uh, as humans praise, his images, his attributes grow. It is a huge compliment. This concept of God can only grow because of me. You are here. I bring you here. That gives so much of bhakti. I can't tell you. This is for me. That is bhakti. Hmm.
No, for sure. Yeah.
That as human what? And in terms of the dance, I loved the puppet movements I took, from various puppetry, traditional puppetry. And so this dance, this particular piece is very dancey in certain way.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what I would like to say that because I presented this in so many places, including Calcutta, including Dallas, so many other places where I didn't get any Telugu crowd, but I can tell you that they understood and I laughed, they laughed. This is
Oh,
one dance where I saw the audience laughing with me, which was a
wow.
great, honor. I mean, I can't tell you the feeling I had when they laughed with me and were with me, and I knew that is Telugu, they don't understand
Yeah.
the words. It didn't make any
Absolutely.
difference.
That's fantastic. It's also very heartwarming to know that it's already become part of your repertoire and that you've already performed
Yes.
it.
Absolutely,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
absolutely.
Right, right. I also is a sort of a signal of this whole notion of inclusivity. There is a Telugu Vagayakara who's finding expression in an Odissi body, and like sharing space with dancers from across genres. Where he's sort of Annamacharya is kind of holding fort and dancers are coming together. So I think this is also a collective sort of
Yeah.
endeavor to celebrate
All
and
Anandas.
No,
I was
no,
very
I would
surprised when
thank,
she invited me. I mean, I would say it really added something big in my life.
actually, Akila, when we were discussing, when Anupama and I were, we were doing this, back before we invited everyone, we did this discussion of who are the artists we could have. We had, people whom we looked at, and I said we have Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, of course, definitely, Mohiniyattam, of course, because it can be added. Though I mean, they don't use much of Telugu, but it can be added. And then we said we need, of course, we had Neo Bharatam, we had all that, and then I said I must have one North Indian style, so I must have Odissi. So this was an experiment. I said, let's try it, let's push it. They said, we had this discussion. They said, will it work? I said, no, let's try. And when I reached out to her, she readily agreed. So I would thank each and every one of my 12 artists and 7 now performing for coming on board, for sharing my dream of taking Annamacharya to all the to bring Annamacharya with this music of Venu to dancers. Our idea of doing this whole thing was to bring to share this content with as many people as possible, and that has come so far, and I'm very grateful. I think it is all Sri Venkateshaya Namaha, and of
right.
course it's an absolute honor to be
Right.
dancing with colleagues,
Yeah.
senior colleagues and friends, each and every one of them a gem, and all of them actually, just allowing me to, to say, okay, I want to place it here. Is just I just do it, and they just, they're all so very, what shall I say, so very happy to be, just performing and being with us. I'm grateful. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, each and every one of you.
Yeah.
Thank
Andaji
you, and
also.
I'm sharing this. I see in the background, I can see
Oh,
Guruji smiling. Can you
okay.
see? So I shifted my
Fantastic.
position,
Oh,
and I think he would have been very happy today.
That's fantastic.
Thank you,
Anandaji, also, as
Akila.
I see, I thank you so much, Sharmila ji. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and looking forward to the performance on 11th September. But Anandaji, I just wanted to tell you that the beauty of this Tamrapatra live is that I see it also as a work in progress. That today it's with these dancers, tomorrow it could be with a whole
Yes,
bunch of other dancers, young
yes,
dancers,
yes.
different styles. So I think it's a really an effort towards inclusivity and diversity. And I do hope that Tamrapatra travels the world and with many, many dancers who sort of make Annamacharya
Yes.
their own. So congratulations and all the very best
Thank
to
you.
all of you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Akila.
Thanks
See
a
you
lot.
soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Thank you,
bye. Thanks.
Ananda.
Bye.
Again.